Coca-Cola, one of the most recognized brands in the world. Its red and white logo is so famous, it is said 94% of the planet can identify it on sight. For decades, Coke was untouchable, the king of soda, the drink that defined American culture, and in many ways became part of global culture. But this isn't a story about comfortable dominance. At Dreamkin Media, we dig into the rivalries that shaped industries and rewrote marketing history, and this is one of those. Heavyweight bout for the ages. It's a story about a rival that came back from the dead. A bankrupt soda that clawed its way into the ring, went punch for punch with a giant, and nearly won. It's a story of corporate espionage, billion-dollar marketing campaigns, failed products, riots, political deals, and even a navy. This is the Cola Wars, Chapter 1, The Birth of a King. Our story begins in Atlanta, Georgia, in the year 1886. John Pemberton, a pharmacist and former Confederate soldier, had been badly wounded in the Civil War. Doctors didn't expect him to survive. They dosed him heavily with morphine to ease his pain. And he survived, but left with a serious addiction. Like many in his position, Pemberton sought alternatives to break free from morphine. One of his favorites was a European tonic called Vin Mariani, wine infused with coca leaves. Cocaine, essentially in a wine bottle. In the 1880s, nobody thought that was a problem. In fact, they thought it was good for you. Pemberton decided to make his own version. In 1884, he launched French wine coca, a mix of wine, cola nuts, sugar, and you guessed it right, cocaine. He genuinely believed it was medicinal. Then came disaster. In 1885, prohibition laws began spreading across America, banning alcohol in many states. Pemberton had to remove the wine from his formula. To counter the bitterness this caused, he added a lot more sugar and mixed it with carbonated water. His bookkeeper, Frank Robinson, came up with the new name, Coca-Cola, a nod to its two key ingredients, cola nuts for caffeine and coca leaves for cocaine. Despite the catchy name, sales were slow. There were dozens of similar cure-all drinks on the market. Pemberton never got to see his drink become a global sensation. Struggling with his health, he sold the business for just $2,300 to Asa Candela, an ambitious businessman, and died in 1888. Chapter 2, The Marketing Machine. Candela was ruthless, and he understood something most of his competitors didn't. In business, perception is reality. He didn't just sell a drink, he sold an idea. Candela plastered the Coca-Cola logo on every wall, barn, billboard, and shop he could find. He mailed free coupons to pharmacies' best customers, an early form of viral marketing. He paid athletes and movie stars to drink Coke in public. He even tied Coca-Cola to Christmas by featuring Santa Claus in ads, forever linking the brand to the holiday. And this wasn't by accident. Candela understood that selling Coke as a medicine limited his market. So he repositioned it as a refreshing drink for everyone, a symbol of happiness and togetherness. Sales exploded, but Candela made one monumental mistake. When two lawyers approached him asking for the rights to bottle Coca-Cola, he thought bottling was a stupid idea. He granted them perpetual bottling rights for just $1. That contract, with no expiration date and no price adjustment clause, became one of the worst deals in corporate history, costing Coca-Cola millions over the decades. Chapter 3, War, Fanta, and Global Domination. And by the 1940s, Coke had conquered America. But World War II gave them a chance to conquer the world. When sugar was rationed, Coca-Cola convinced the US government it was an essential wartime product that boosted soldier morale. They got an exemption, and with government help, they built 60 for overseas bottling plants during the war. Soldiers drank Coke everywhere they went and shared it with locals. Coke became a taste of America. But here's the twist. While supplying the Allies, Coca-Cola also kept its German operations running. Unable to import syrup to Nazi Germany due to trade restrictions, Coke's German bottler invented a new drink made from leftover apple pulp and whey. The name Fanta It became a hit in Nazi Germany, and after the war, profits flowed back to Coca-Cola headquarters. Fanta is now one of Coke's best-selling brands worldwide. By war's end, Coke was in almost every country on Earth, except Cuba and North Korea. Chapter 4: The Underdog Rises. While Coke was building an empire, Pepsi was struggling. Pepsi-Cola began in 1893 as Brad's drink, created by pharmacist Caleb Bradham. It went bankrupt in 1923 and again in 1931, but Charles Gough, a candy company president, saw an opportunity. During the Great Depression, he began selling Pepsi in 350 milliliters bottles for the same price Coke charged for 200 milliliters, almost twice the soda for the same price. In a time when every penny mattered, Pepsi became the smart choice. They pushed catchy jingles on the radio, making Pepsi part of popular culture. By the 1950s, they rebranded as the drink for the Pepsi generation, young, energetic, and rebellious, directly challenging Coke's traditional, family-friendly image. Chapter 5: The Pepsi Challenge. In 1975, Pepsi launched its boldest move yet, the Pepsi Challenge. At shopping malls across America, they set up tables with two unmarked cups, one with Coke, one with Pepsi. People tasted both, and the majority chose Pepsi. The results aired in TV commercials nationwide, humiliating Coca-Cola. Pepsi doubled down, signing Michael Jackson, Madonna, Britney Spears, and Beyoncé. And even more recently, football superstar Messi, they made Pepsi cool, ... Coke had polar bears, Pepsi had pop culture. Coke's market share began to slip. Chapter 6: New Coke, the Disaster and the Triumph. By the mid-1980s, Coca-Cola was rattled. Their own blind taste tests confirmed Pepsi's sweeter formula was preferred. So after secret development, they launched New Coke in 1985. A reformulated drink they believed would beat Pepsi. On paper, it worked. People liked it in tests, but in reality, it was a disaster. To millions, Coke wasn't just a beverage, it was part of their lives, a constant in a changing world. Changing the formula felt like a betrayal. People hoarded the old version. Protest groups formed, politicians even weighed in. 3 months later, Coca-Cola brought back the original as Coca-Cola Classic. Sales surged. Some believed it was all a PR stunt. Coke insists it wasn't. Either way, the mistake reminded the world how much they loved the original. Chapter 8: Cola in Space and a Navy at Sea. The Cola Wars have had their absurd moments. In 1985, both Coke and Pepsi sent specially designed soda dispensers to space. Coke's system worked. Pepsi's looked like a repurposed shaving cream and became a running joke. And in 1989, Pepsi became, briefly, a naval power. They traded Pepsi syrup with the Soviet Union for vodka, oil, and 17 submarines and warships. For a moment, Pepsi owned the 6th largest navy in the world before selling it for scrap. Chapter 9: The Modern Battlefield. Today, soda sales are declining in many countries as consumers shift to bottled water, energy drinks, and healthier options. Coca-Cola now owns brands like Dasani, Smartwater, Powerade, and Costa Coffee. PepsiCo owns Gatorade, Tropicana, Doritos, and Lay's. In 2025, Pepsi revived the Pepsi Challenge, this time pitting Pepsi Zero Sugar against Coke Zero Sugar. The rivalry still burns. Who really won? Coca-Cola remains the most valuable beverage brand in the world. PepsiCo earns more total revenue, thanks to its snacks empire. Both dominate their industries. The Cola Wars are more than a marketing rivalry. They're a lesson in branding, psychology, and loyalty. Because Coca-Cola has never really sold you a drink. They've sold you a feeling, nostalgia, family, happiness. And Pepsi has never really sold you a cola. They've sold you the belief that you're part of the next generation. So next time you choose between red and blue, ask yourself, did you pick it or were you told to? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the wild world of the Cola Wars, there's plenty more where that came from. At Dreamkin Media, we dig up the stories most people never hear, the twists, the scandals, and the decisions that changed business forever. So if you want more of these intriguing stories, hit that like button, share this video with someone who loves a good rivalry, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. Your support keeps these stories coming, and trust me, the next one is even crazier.